Hello, everyone. Today we are very excited to have David Barefield, retired police captain, owner of Savannah Vending Solutions, in business for about 3 years. And he found some opportunities for us to get better in our ATM business. David, tell us something about yourself and tell us how you got into this ATM world.
Yeah, Franco, definitely. Thanks for having me on. Really appreciate it a lot. And as you mentioned, I retired as a police captain. I was there about 24 years. And I was doing what I think we all kind of do, trying to find a side hustle to bring in some extra cash, right? And I got interested in, first, it was vending machines, but around the same time, also ATM machines. And not really knowing a lot about the industry, I chose to do both at the same time, which I learned pretty quickly was not a good choice. And just briefly, the reason for that is ATM machines are a lot easier to move. They're a lot more mobile. You can do them by yourself. And if you do it in a way that makes sense, you don't have to physically touch those machines as often, as long as you have the capital. Whereas I had some vending machines that were doing really well, and you want them to do well, but the issue is you're touching those machines so many times. So a lot more work is involved, and it takes a lot longer to scale that. So I decided to sell off the vending part of the business and just go 100% into ATMs.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
Tell us about the problems that you found on the ATM world that you want to solve.
Oh yeah. So after doing this, and I'll be transparent. I don't have 200-300 machines. I have less than 100. But it's enough to where, I'm using Excel sheets, I'm using Google Sheets to try to manage everything. And what I was commonly always trying to battle with myself was, I want to get out there and get it done in the safest way possible, but I also want to get back home. I have other things to do. So I wanted a way to map out my route as efficiently as possible. And what I was doing personally was I tried different things. With Apple Maps at the time, you couldn't map more than one stop. I think now you can do 3. Google Maps will let you do up to 10. But once you get above 10, you're kind of guessing again because it didn't follow through your entire route. So then what I started to do was I started looking at other routing softwares that were out there. And what I found personally was they're either very expensive, or if you can find a free alternative that lets you use a certain amount of stops for free, then the interface just is clunky. It's not user intuitive. And I really didn't find a good solution for it. So after being out there, I was like, there is a gap missing. I don't want to have to go over here to PAI or to Switch and look at my terminals and then go over here and try to figure out how do I get to my terminals. So the gap that I found was, if we could have terminals and live mapping routing all in one area, that would solve my problem, right? So that's what I started working on, and that's what I think I've accomplished.
We did not talk about this in the beginning, but at what point did you started putting this together?
This has been months in the working, doing a lot of research, trying to come up with the best option. And I know we mentioned, I retired from the police department. My passion has always been computer programming. I'm self-taught myself Visual Basic when I was a teenager, and I have a degree for computer programming with mobile development. So I know Swift and Java and Android, Windows and all those types of phones. And that was my passion. That's what I really wanted to do. And not to get into a too long, drawn out of a story that doesn't matter too much, was the career that I did in the police field actually circled back around. So I still have a full-time job, but now my full-time job is I can work from wherever I want to work from, and I'm building databases, I'm doing integrations with other companies, and that's what I do primarily all day. So I've gotten to finally start getting into the development world where I wanted to be. And in conjunction with the ATM issue I was having, I said, this is an opportunity for me to finally put some skills to use and make something that makes sense and would work for me, and I think would work for a lot of other people as well.
That's excellent. So can I say that you're creating an automated ATM route?
Yeah, so what it does is right now, and we're still actively building this out, but as of today, it's pending launch on the Apple App Store. It'll be on Android shortly after, but it works right now on mobile web. So you don't have to have an app. Although once the app is released, it'll give you a better user experience, because then we can bring in share sheets, push notifications, things like that. But what we have now is if you have PAI or switch, you can either manually export your terminal status sheet from those platforms and then import them in manually. But with the work that I do daily and my background, I said, let's integrate this. So right now we have PAI and switch. You log in with your credentials. Those are encrypted. They're not able to be decrypted. And what happens is it will pull that data in every 30 minutes. So every 30 minutes, your data is going to come into the app. It's going to populate your terminals. It's going to geocode your addresses for your terminals. And that's really important because I've also integrated the app with Google API. What that allows us to do is if you have a route that has 50 or more machines, it will route that entire map out for you at one time using real live traffic, and then segment it back into the app where you can load 10 stops at once, but that entire route has already been calculated for you. And then along with that, we pulled in different roles. We've got the admin role, which is typically the app owner or the business owner. You have a manager. You have a field tech, maybe someone that repairs machines, and maybe they also cache load. And then we have another role that is just strictly a cache loader. Each one of those roles have different permissions within the app that they can do. And just for example, the cache loader, and as the admin, you can override these permissions, but the defaults are as a cache loader, all they can do is, let's say that, Franco, you make a route today and you go in there and it's going to automatically tell you, by the way, it's going to bring up your lowest cache terminals first, and it's going to suggest you route to those. But you can select your terminals, create your route. If it's a route that you do very frequently, like let's call it the South Side route, it will ask you if you want to save that as a template so that the next time you come in, you can just load your South Side route and it's going to load all of those terminals automatically for you. But you can get the route set up, get your cache load that you want to go into the machines, and you can actually then assign it to your cache loader. So now your cache loader logs into the app. They get a notification that they've been assigned a route. They can see the route. They'll press start route. Yep.
Is this just for cache only or for servicing as well?
Servicing as well. Cool. It brings in the EMRS codes if you're using that function or that feature, which is really great. So if you have a cassette go empty, it's going to notify you in the app. It's going to give you that error, and it's going to notify you and tag that machine requires service. The other thing we kind of thought through was if you're a cache loader and you don't fix machines, there's a chance that you might get on site to load a machine and find out there's something wrong with the machine. So the cache loader can set that machine as needing service. And when they do that, it will also send an in-app notification to the manager and to the admin. So they'll get a notification that the machine needs service.
That's excellent. So how does your system decide which ATM should be serviced first?
You can choose what you want to do. The default is it's going to bring up the ones that have an error code first. So let's say that you have a machine that has a paper jam. It's going to put that one at the top. After that, it's going to order them in lowest cache to highest cache available. So it's going to surface your lowest cache ones first. And then, by the way, they're also going to be tagged as having low cache. And you can set the thresholds for that as per user in your account. So if you want to be notified at a certain level, you can set that on the back end. That's all customizable. The other thing that we're bringing in, as long as the processor supplies the data, and PAI, for instance, does, we're bringing in 15-day average, 30-day average, your average cash pull per transaction, which is a really important metric to have. When someone takes out money out of the ATM, are they pulling out on average $20, or is it something like a pawn shop that's going to pull more money out of it? Say your average transaction might be 160, and you can use that data, or you should be using that data to determine what your surcharge should be, because if people are pulling out larger volumes of cash, you may want to consider upping that surcharge for that location.
About profits and efficiencies, I don't know if you have enough data right now, but how much time or fuel can an operator realistically save by using your service?
Yeah, the reason that we decided to go with the Google API is two reasons. One, It will allow you to do more than 10 locations at once. That's a paid feature, by the way, that we're integrating into the app. The second part of that is it will also automatically try to save you fuel costs. So it'll take your live traffic into consideration and your fuel cost, and it will try to map the best way for you to save money. Now, a lot of us get out there, I'm guilty of this too, where I'm like, this machine's low. Maybe I should go hit this one first. And then I start hitting machines where if I had software that did that programmatically for me in the background, I can do that entire route and be done. And you can also, you can set your starting address that you're going to start from. And that's important because you might be at home, but maybe that's not where you start your route from. And the other thing is you can start, where do you want to end up? Once you're finished with your route, what is your endpoint? And a lot of people don't think about how important that is. If you don't include your endpoint in there, it may actually route you a different way, where then when you're going to go home or go to work or wherever you're going, you might pass by some machines you did earlier. But if you put that endpoint in there as your last stop, then that Google API is going to actually map your route where you end up at your house, or wherever you want to end up at.
I just think about Dorothy. We're not in Kansas anymore.
Yeah.
You want to make sure that you do your entire point to point. That's actually pretty good. It looks like a no-brainer. Is there an opportunity that you can share this system with us so we can take a look at it and then
Sure.
And then you can be more specific?
Definitely. Let me share the screen here.
And just as we're talking and you're toggling in there, I am going to take the assumption that there's encryption here, that if my phone is hacked or something is hacked, then nobody can tell where you are or what you're doing.
Yes. Now, the only person that's going to know who you are is your admin and your manager. And they won't know your location per se, but on the dashboard, if you've been assigned a route and I'm the admin or the manager, when I load the app on my side, it's going to show that Franco has a route and it's going to show the percentage. So it'll show that you're 20% completed of your route. Also, you can choose to turn on notifications where whenever you load a machine, it can tell me Franco put $1,000 in the Shell gas station. And those are custom features that you can decide to turn on.
It's not able to physically know that. It will be able just to understand that that's the information that was inputted into the system.
Exactly. Yeah.
I guess the concern about if you have a route mapped online that somebody can hack, and then you can be follow or chase. And if you put a cache loader in that case, it's not.
No, that makes perfect sense. Yeah, the route is on the device of the person it's assigned to. And so no one's going to be able to know exactly where you are. It's not tracking you live. All that you're doing is you're saying, these are the locations I want to go to. And then it's mapping it and giving you the route, but it's not a live GPS of where you are. It doesn't work that way.
Perfect.
All right, so let me see if I can get this shared. Okay. Are you able to see that clearly?
Yeah.
Okay. Rather than boring you with the logging in process,
oh yes,
I'm just
of course.
Show you. So this is your dashboard, and right now there's no routes loaded. But what can we see? We can see that this account has 28 active terminals. It's showing me that in the machines right now we have over 44,000 in the machines. None of the machines are in need of service, but it's flagging 14 of those based on the preferences that I've set up. It's flagging that 14 machines are low on cash. And then you'll notice right below low cash, it says PAI 24 minutes ago. That is the last time that it's reached out to PAI and said, can you tell me what is the current information? It does that every 30 minutes. So it just changed to 25. So in 5 minutes from now, it's going to refresh and get a fresh look at all of your terminals so that you'll always have active data. And then if you scroll down, you're going to see, are there any terminals that you haven't loaded in X amount of days? Again, this is a setting you can set up yourself. So if you haven't hit, and the reason that we decided to do this was, if you have a certain amount of machines, there's a chance that because a machine hasn't been flagged as low cache, that you haven't visited that location. Well, maybe that machine has an issue that's not reporting to you to tell you that there's an error. So if a machine hasn't been loaded in a while, that might be a cue for you to say, let me ride by there and see if something's going on with it, right?
And then you can say sorry that I interrupt you there, Dave, but I would say for any new operators that this is new to them, very simple thing could be here that the machine is unplugged. So the machine was
Exactly.
unplugged and you don't know because it won't transmit any information. That's the great example for that. You know that you go to the Family Dollar store once a week or every 2 weeks, and you haven't been there in 3 weeks. There's an issue.
Exactly. And then the other case where that's plausible is if the internet for that location goes down, it
Yeah.
doesn't always necessarily tell you that because it can't tell you that because it's down unless you have a device outside of that that's going to tell you, but the machine itself is not.
Yeah. And
And
you
then you can
mentioned,
see, yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry to interrupt. You mentioned too that is this integrated with ERMS or RMS if you're doing a PAI?
Yes, it pulls in. PAI offers the ability to extract the EMRS codes or the RMS codes. So as part of that refresh every 30 minutes, it's pulling in any of those. And if it pulls one of those in, you're going to get an in-app notification, and it's going to tell you that there is a machine that has an issue. And when that happens, it will show up under Need Service. And if you tap on Need Service, it'll take you immediately to that terminal.
Sweet.
All right, and then the last thing on the dashboard right now is the recent activity. So you can see 4 hours ago, 4,000 was put into a Sitco and down the line. And then Glen Place Mall shows that that one actually had some sort of service issue and it was repaired 6 days ago. All
And
right.
this is the cash loader just checking the box saying that this is done, or there's more details on what the
Oh,
service was?
yes, there's more details. This is just your overall, you want to come in the app and get a quick glance of what's going on. That is all that this screen is for. The next tab over on the bottom is your terminals tab. I can get there three different ways. Where it says 28 active terminals, I can tap that. Where it says low cash 14, I can tap that. Or I can just tap terminals. When I do that, it's going to show me right now, I've got some machines here that are low cash. It says the flip-flops has 0. Motel 6, it's showing has only $80 in there. And as you go down the line, and you can see they're color-coded. So the orange or the yellow mustard colored is there. And then you have the green ones here that are showing you that they're okay. Now, if I click on one of these, like I'll click on this terminal here, it's going to show you the current cash level. Now, the capacity is another setting. Like, let's say that you normally do not put, the machine can hold more cash than 6,000.
Yeah.
But you don't want to have more than 6. So you can set it to be 6,000. That way, when it's giving you your low cash levels, it'll be more accurate.
Good.
It's going to show you a drop down of whether it's active, inactive, or needs service. And their cash loaders and up can all modify these settings. Again, if a cash loader gets on site and there's an issue, they can mark it as needs service. Then you can see last loaded, last transaction. And as we get farther down, you can see some more information, your cassette details, your dispense trends. You've got your average 7 days, your last 15 days, and your last 30-day averages. And then that important metric we were talking about earlier is your average transaction size. So this particular terminal is reporting that usually when someone takes cash out of here, it's usually around $90 that they're taking out.
And that information is very accurate across the board. $88 national average.
Yep, that makes sense. And then it's telling me that this machine actually has a wireless device attached to it.
Yep.
And let's see, and we'll get into the cash loader in a second, but I'm going to click on Edit Terminal, and you'll see this is where you can edit some additional information. And there's a notes section that says that this location actually has 2 machines at this location, just some knowledge for the person going there. And then if I back out of here, I have a list on the top where I can click on things, need service, which, and again, this is considered to be in beta. So this is obviously, we'll fix this because this top machine is out of cache, and this should be reporting, I should be getting an error from PAI, but maybe PAI, because it looks like it just cleared. So we'll check on that. Yeah, we'll check on that one. Yeah. But you can sort alphabetical by inactive. And I have the inactive machine hidden, and I'll talk about why we did that here in just a second. But let's go to the important part, right? So the routes. So for routes, you can either get from the dashboard, you can click plan today's route, or in the route section, you can plan a route. And then if you click on my routes, if you have a route assigned to you, then it'll show up in the my routes section. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, I'm going to plan a route, and let's do 201 Habersham. I want to start there, and I want to end up at 8505 Waters.
And I'm going to make the assumption here, or you're probably going to show us this. You are going to tell the system I have X amount of monies available in my bank
Yes.
that I need to pick up, and the system will distribute it by itself, or you actually have to input it.
So not by itself, but what we'll do is we'll go through this. So it's identified 14 stops that we need to do because of low cash based on our settings. I'm just going to accept that, and it's above our 10 limit, which is you're not going to be able to find a route planner really without paying for it. That's going to allow you to do more than 10. This one will. I'm going to click generate route. And it's going to say, do you want to save this as a template? Again, this is a route that you do fairly routinely, and you don't want to have to always go and look at the terminals. You can name this like Southside, and then it'll show up as Southside. I'm just going to skip it for now. Now what it's doing is, you notice at the very top where it says route 14 stops, it's saying the estimated drive time between stops is 8.5 hours. And the reason for that is some of these terminals are
They're
far
just dispersed all over the city.
Oh yeah, like yep. Well, they're not all over the city. They're in different cities. They're all over the place.
All over the state.
They're all over the place. So if I started this route right now, 8.5 hours to get this done, and obviously we wouldn't do that. We would split this up in a different metric.
Yeah.
Now I have some choices. If you look down towards the bottom, I can save this to the queue. So if I'm planning this route, but I'm not ready to assign it, I can save it to the queue. If I'm ready to assign it, I can click assign and actually assign it to someone. We have choices, whoever your people are right here. And the one you're kind of asking me about is, well, what about cash? So I can say set cash amounts. And if I know how much money I'm going to put into the machines, I'll just do that here.
So there's not a suggestion field as of right now.
Not as of right now, but that is in the works.
Good. Because you know, with the data that you're accumulating, you know that this machine needs on the first week of April, it needs X amount of monies, and it will be a good idea to have this much for the next whatever timelines that you do.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. And we actually had a conversation about that earlier today. We already have all the data in here. And one of the other things it's going to do in addition to that is not only will it pre-populate and make suggestions, but if you have a terminal that's starting to trend upward, then we're going to notify you in the app. And it's going to, for example, let's say Richmond Hill Tattoo is doing more money than it has in the last 3 months. Then we're going to alert you and say this terminal is showing a trending movement of upwards and show you that amount. And then on the other side of it, if a terminal is trending downward, we're going to notify you that as well. So that's still in development, and that is to come. So let's say I have these. Go ahead.
This is pretty good, and this is just using the AI brain. And I don't know if you're there right now, but then you are able to tell me how much money is in the street, and then you can tell me how often that money is being rotated.
Exactly. And right now, based on this route, based on the amounts that I'm going to put in the machine, it's telling me that I need $42,580 to load these machines. All right. You see that on the top up there?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So now I'm going to say, let me go ahead and save this to my queue because I'm not sure who's going to handle this. But now let's say, you know what? I'm going to actually handle this myself. Let me go ahead and assign this to myself. And now it's going to show on the dashboard that I have a route that's assigned to me. And again, if you're the manager or the admin and you have other people that cash load for you, on your dashboard, it's going to show you that this route is assigned to that person. And you see there's a notification that I just received. If I click on that, it's going to say you've been assigned a route. whoops, I clicked on it too fast. You've been assigned a route. And then if you want to get rid of these, you can mark as read or delete them. And then I'm going to go ahead and click Start Route. I'm ready to go. I've got the money loaded up. We're going to start the route. In the very top right-hand corner, there's a little kind of map icon right next to the arrows. If I click on that, it's going to give me an in-app overview of where I'm going to see. I was telling you I'm just going all over the state. And I can actually go up and tap on this, and it's going to give me information about that terminal, just a very quick briefing so I can see what's going on. So I'm going to go ahead and go back, and I'm going to say, let's start this route. And one of the important things, and FedEx and UPS, all of these major companies do the same thing. If it's more than 10 stops, they use a segmented stop. So the entire route has been predicted for you. But there's not a way to load that entire route at one time in the application in Google Maps. So once it detects that you've reached the maximum limit, it's going to give you a couple of different things. I can either click on the Victory Vape one where it says navigate. And if I do that, it's going to go ahead and open up Google Maps, and it's going to take me straight there. The other thing I can do is open the next stop in Maps on the bottom. It's going to do the same thing. If this was 10 locations or less, it would just show you the entire route at one time, if that makes sense.
This is pretty good. This is pretty good, David. I'm pretty excited about what you got here. It looks great.
The other thing I want to show you is this is where you're going to manage your team. This is where you can invite. If I want to invite a cash loader, I can do that. I'm going to share this custom code with that cash loader so that no one else is invited into my organization except whoever has the code. If I want to hide terminals, I'm going to do that. And there is some more options here, but where's the one I wanted to show you? We have an option where you can choose your default application. If you're doing the route to route method, if you're having more than 10 stops, and someone might actually have a preference where they would rather use Apple Maps or Waze, and that is also built in so that you can choose that as your default mapping service, so that it will do that. You can also set it up to wherever you start your route, you can have it ask you, which mapping platform do you want to use, and then you choose from that screen. Or you can just set it as a default. But yeah, it's right now we have a soft launch, so we have rolled this out on the web version, and like I said, there's going to be a lot more functionality coming out. Let me go ahead and stop sharing. There's going to be a lot more functionality coming out once it gets approved on the Apple and Android stores. We'll be able to make it have a lot more better features, but for a web app, it does automatic updates. If we push an update out, you're going to see a banner across the top of the screen that says click to update. And that's going to refresh it and bring in all the new updates with your release notes. Just two more things I want to mention. So I know you may have some other questions. There's a knowledge base built into settings. If you have any questions at all, there's already guides set up for you. And we also have a direct support link built in. So if someone is using the app and they come into encounter a bug, have a feature suggestion, or just have a question, they can actually hit us up in real time, and we'll be notified and be able to respond back to them.
That's excellent. We're about to hit the 30-minute mark, and I want to stay conscious of our time. I know that your focus has been in this so far. Do you foresee any other automation that is right there in the back of your head that in the next 3 years that you can work on?
Well, we're actively working on onboarding the other processors, CDS, EFX, DNS. I think that's going to cover 5 really major ones that everyone's using. And if there's one out there that we're just not familiar with, you'll have the option to do that as a general import. Or you can contact us and we'll work on an integration. But right now, really, we want to keep the core app really centered around your terminals and your route management. We do have some ideas of adding in maybe a back-end office if someone might have a reason to take a picture of a receipt or something like that. So those are things that are in our minds, but not in the immediate future. But we're open to suggestions. We definitely appreciate your time and your feedback. And, we do have a special code available for you. And would you like me to share that?
Yes, please.
Yeah, so the in order to get to the app right now, you just simply go to ATM Route Manager .app, or you can go to ATMRouteManager.com. Either one will take you to the same place. There is a free plan. Everyone can use it as much as they want for 5 terminals or less. And then once you get over that, there is a monthly fee. But we are offering, Franco, all of your listeners, if they use the promo code ATM TALKS, they will get 60 days free off of any of the plans. Excellent. And that'll allow them to try it out and give us some feedback.
Excellent. I guess the last question is, how can people learn more about you and about the system? Because right now they just know you're David, right?
Right. Yeah. Let me see. I'm everywhere. We have a LinkedIn page for this. My company's name is Savannah Vending Solutions. We're on LinkedIn. We're also on Instagram. We're on TikTok. You can hit me up directly through the app itself. And then our website is savannahvendingsolutions.com.
Good. Yep. What about your email so people can reach out to you just by email?
Yeah, David at savannahvendingsolutions.com. That'll come straight to me.
That's good. David, there is so much information that you gave us, very, very, very beneficial. I hope that our listeners get to see the value, and I appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me on, and I appreciate your support and wanting to learn more about the product.
Oh, it sounds great. It sounds very good. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.